Years ago, I bought a boat with the intent to become a liveaboard and to fulfill my childhood fantasy of being a swashbuckling pirate. Little did I know of what that would entail. Join me on a grand adventure of preparing the boat and starting the liveaboard lifestyle. And now,
do what you want, cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate. You're our nudity. Being a pirate is alright with me. Do what you want, cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
all right, here we are at the halfway point. Well, a little over halfway point. But it's the first time I had to stop for fuel. This beast of a truck takes $60 in fuel to go from a quarter of a tank to a full tank. So, wow. But that's the price I paid for having the cargo capacity. And of course, I've been driving for 5 hours by this point. So, and my audiobook stopped about an hour and a half into that, and I couldn't get it restarted until I stopped here. So, wow, that was pretty gnarly too. Gives you a lot of time to think about all the things that I did forget, because I waited until the last minute. And it also gives you time to realize what a monumental mistake this plan was. Don't get me wrong, it's working as intended, but there's a lot of lessons learned here. I'll go over those after the arrival. But here it is. This is the first and only stop I will have to make. 5 hours in. The tank on this thing is massive. I put in 30 gallons of fuel. So, and I still had like a little less than a quarter of a tank left. But the only time I should have to put gas back into this is before I turn it in to cap it off, because it has to be full. So, I checked the load. Everything's good. Got a chance to show my bike off here to the locals. So they thought it was really awesome. And we'll get back on the road. Everything's ready to go. But I had packed the camera in the back, so there's no footage of the drive. So I will actually try to obtain some of it. You really didn't miss much because of the storms that came through before. The cloud cover was on the road, so but we'll sally forth. Okay, so here you can see that driving at night, and you can catch a glimpse of my GPS there, which I had going on all the time. This is shortly after I left the gas station, and I'm just driving along. It's that dark, and traffic was that light. It's actually quite amazing. Still couldn't get the audiobooks or any kind of radio sound to be going on, so it was kind of a difficult trip. Gives you a lot of time to think, though, especially about the things that I actually did forget. Things like the rechargeable batteries and various wires and parts of projects that I was working on. Just trying to take a mental inventory of everything, because I did actually forget quite a bit of little things. In this section here, you kind of get a little bit of an idea of what it was like earlier in the trip, but not so much as bad, because this is after the sun's coming up. I actually wound up stopping and taking a short break
because the end of the journey is through very thick traffic in and around Alexandria and actually heading into DC and Reagan International Airport. So, but as you can see, the visibility is still kind of low, and it actually gets worse as this little cliff progresses on. At one point, the visibility was so dense that I couldn't see a car in front of me. It's almost as if the clouds were down on the road, and it was like this most of the trip. Kind of difficult in a vehicle that, number one, is as wide as the lane, so I always tried to remain on this side of the road. But number two, no cruise control at all. So everything was manually controlled on this particular trip. So it was very focus intensive. So I did take a break. As you can see, that truck came up on me. I came up on that truck really quick, and you can see us heading into thicker bank here. So it's very interesting. It was a quite a grueling experience. And then, as you'll see coming up here, when the sun did come up, the cloud cover had stayed well after the sun had come up on the horizon. So it was actually in my face, as you can see right here. So I spent a lot of time manhandling the sun visors and everything. But traffic was like this almost the entire way. It was incredibly surprising to me that the traffic was going to be as light as it was, especially since this is a Friday before Memorial Day, the Memorial Day weekend. So I expected, that's one of the reasons why I was worried about the thick traffic, was I was coming into a holiday, and it was not bad at all. It was like this the entire way. But I did learn a lot of lessons. My bike kept chirping in the back because of the ankles and the alarm system on the bike. So the battery was almost dead by the time I got there. And the difficulties involved in loading the bike and making sure I found a spot where the ramp wasn't too steep, because the ramp was quite steep normally, and it was difficult to ride the bike up. Riding it down was no problem. I did scrape the bottom a little bit, which is what I was afraid of. But going up it would have been more difficult. So this is just some of the driving. It was a little over 9.5 hours of this.
All right, just arrived. Got to get the keys out of the back and head out to the Falcon and see her for the first time in I don't even know how many months. Got the keys. Here we go. Here's the Falcon, all by her lonesome out here. It's actually kind of weird. Looks like I lost almost all my neighbors. Right. Everything looks like it did when I left it. But based on last year, sorry, I'm walking real stiff because the moving truck didn't have cruise control. So nothing in the bilge. Last time, bilge was full of water to the top of the, just to the bottom of the floors. So, here it is, the arrival of the Falcon. So, I'm going to see about getting things set up. Hope you enjoyed the trip, and stay tuned.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to buy the Pirate of Taco, why don't you think about becoming a patron? See the links below. Don't forget to subscribe. Click the little bell icon when you want to be notified of new content. And as always, may the wind be at your back.